In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to completely master the 3D camera editing style in short form. And I cover two aspects. First, how our camera is used in short form, and then we're going to remake this little scene, especially its camera movement. And then in the next video, we're going to cover the extra aspects and the final tweakings that are needed to make this video 10x better. So yeah, if you guys don't already know, this is day 5 and day 6 of the bootcamp that I'm doing on YouTube for the animation mastery. Now this doesn't mean that you have to go and watch previous videos, because day 5, day 6 and day 7 is completely separated from the previous days. But after this video, you can go and start from day 1 in order to cover the long form side of it as well, where I cover basically how to come up with ideas and then design a scene and then convert this design into an animation which brings the whole thing to life. And day 5, by the way, which is included in this video, is an exclusive video from Editors League, which is my new program or community where I teach you how to master video editing, edit just like the masters, advanced editing techniques, client acquisition, getting infinite feedback loops, and pretty much I create a roadmap for you to go from either a beginner editor or an intermediate editor to becoming a pro level editor, just like how I'm doing with this bootcamp. And the best part about it all is that there is a Black Friday offer going on right now, and this Black Friday offer will only be available until the end of November, guys. After it, I will be increasing the price. So if you join right now Editors League, you will be grandfathered in. That means your price will stay the same for the rest of your life, no matter how high the price goes up. So yeah, click on the first link below and proceed with your next best move. And if you guys want to follow the progress of this video and follow what I'm doing, then click on the second link where you have the assets that you need in order to follow me. So now I have After Effects open, and the first thing that we want to do is literally just make our composition. Now when you make your composition in 3D, or sorry, in short form, then obviously it's gonna be the opposite of the normal screen. So it's gonna be 1080 by 1920. Okay, usually it's like this, and then the frame rates just go for 25 FPS and click OK. So now once you click OK, this is what you have. Usually what I do is I like to always have my short form video on the side over here. So what this will do is that it will give me more margin or more space to look at instead of having it over here. And then I'm just gonna adjust all of this to be better. Even this, I'll just undock it, pull it up over here, undock this, pull it up over here. So now it's all like integrated very well, and I will even have more place for my timeline. So yeah, this is what I have, and our composition is over here. Now, how to use 3D cameras. Alright guys, how to use 3D camera. First thing, get motion tools 4, because I don't want to go over making nulls over and over and over again for you guys. But anyways, first thing that you have to do is go right click and create a camera. Over here, you can use 1 node or 2 node. I'll just go for 1 node, and the preset is 50mm. The first thing that you need when you have camera on is that camera won't make a difference if your layers are not 3D. So I have to make this 3D. Now if I move my camera, this will move. So now, yeah, you guys can see basically it's moving. It's moving because we have 3D on the layer. Now, okay, this is not the only part. Initially, what we want to do is we want to go to create and, sorry, we want to go to camera and create something called an orbit null. Now, an orbit null basically helps us rotate the camera or rotate the scene from the front part, which is why we make orbit nulls. And then what I do is I connect more nulls, okay? And I'll tell you guys why. So I'll go over here and I connect 3 more nulls, for example. And initially, if you guys want to do this on your own, basically, like you want to do this in a manual way, then you go create a null over here and then you parent it. Okay, so I just save time and I click here, so it automatically parents, then automatically parents, and automatically parents. So all of these nulls right now are basically over here. Why? So we can do multiple movements, and this is what we need. We need a lot of nulls when it comes to camera movement, especially the fast camera movement. We need a lot of nulls because there is multiple movements happening at the same time, and we're gonna be covering that in the next tutorial where I do remakes and stuff. But right now, just understand that you need to do multiple nulls. Okay, you can even do up to 5 nulls. It doesn't matter. Even if you want to do 15 nulls, you can. But I do a good start with 3. Now imagine I want to do a certain movement. So let's say I want to do a certain movement. I will start from null number 1, for example, and I'll do from 0 second over here. No, I'll do a zoom in, for example. Let's say I'll do a zoom in. Okay, let's say I'll do a zoom in, zoom out like this, and then I want it to rotate. I want it to rotate basically. Now I can go to my orbit null. This is why we created an orbit null. I can just go to my orbit null, and let's say I want it to rotate to be like this. Okay, like the whole scene to rotate like this, and then at the same time I do a position by basically moving this, let's say like this. So now you'll know why we're kind of doing this. So basically it's gonna zoom out first, and then oops, and then it's gonna kind of go, all right, I know what's happening. Okay, and then it's gonna rotate. All right, and while it rotates, we need another null, which will basically be the position controller, to basically be a movement to the left side like this. Okay, so now we start graphing. So first thing, the graph that I use, for example, is this one. So it will zoom out very smoothly, and now you can see the movement will start happening, but it's really slow. Like things will be very slow. Let me graph all of these up as well by doing F9 and doing a graph basically. Now look, why we introduce multiple nulls, you can see how slow things are, and this is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. So why is this slow? Because they are not overlapping. First we're waiting for this movement to happen and the next movement. So basically I can just move these keyframes to start earlier, so the movement can start earlier. This happens, and then I'll generally, so this happens, and then let's say we want to do a zoom in, okay, to be on like this side. So look, basically this will happen, and then we will zoom in. I know it's a bit weird, it doesn't have to make too much sense, guys, don't worry. Like right now we're just doing random shit because we don't have anything to animate like in a proper way. We're just doing random shit. But yeah, these are the two graphs that I use. First thing is the middle graph, okay, this one, and the second one is like the front graph that we did over here. So look, for example, we have a zoom out, and now our movement starts going. And for example, when this happens, okay, I can do a text that says hi, for example, to pop up. Now I'll do 3D with this and bring it on over here in the middle by doing Control Alt Control Home. This is a very important trick. This basically brings the layer back to its default position of our view, not default position of the whole composition. So now, for example, if I rotate this, I need to rotate it 90, for example, and zoom it in. So look, you see what's happening? The hello text comes up, and then we're going here. So this is what camera 3D is. This is what they all do. This is literally what they all do. So hi will come up basically, and obviously hi will not come up randomly. I'll like maybe do an opacity. This doesn't have to make too much sense. What I'm just trying to do is explain to you. And now let's say I want to make another movement that takes us to the left side, like this, something like this basically. Over here, maybe here on the left side. I said left and I did right by mistake. And obviously I have saved graphs, as you guys can see from motion 3. So this is the middle graph, okay, in case you guys want to make it, you can. So look, we have a zoom out, and it goes like this, and then it goes here. And we can have this whole thing just be a lot faster instead of having it this slow, you guys get me? So I can like just overlap things on a very harsh basis. So it goes boom, boom, and then over here I introduce another text. I say camera movement, for example. I'll just say camera movement, and let me just add this shit to the middle. Now if I do 3D, look again, it just went in the middle of the composition, and I'll tell you what that means. If I turn off camera, look, this came up over here. And what we need to do is we need to bring it to our middle of our movement. So one way is like this basically, but if you do Control Home, it brings it to the middle of our scene with default position. So look, hello, hi, and then this, you see? So this is why I kind of like the Control Home thingy. So basically, boom. I know it doesn't make too much sense, and it doesn't really need to make that much sense in terms of it making sense. It's just for the fact of like, yeah, we have a camera movement, you know? So yeah, I can definitely decrease the position here. So yeah, something very random, doesn't make too much sense, but yeah. Now that we have completed how to use camera in short form, what we want to do is go right in and cover a practical example of how we're gonna be using the short form to create basically a remake of an editing style called editing style. So yeah, with that being said, let's dive in right into After Effects. So yeah, we have this whole thing on the right side, as you guys can see. And by the way, this is a remake that I covered in Editors League. If you just guys want to have a little snippet, it's basically countless editors, and then we do this whole animation in Editors League. So yeah, if you guys want to learn how I did this, then just make sure you don't miss out. Click on the first link below and you're gonna find this, as well as we made another remake, but anyways, that's for later. So yeah, first thing I'm gonna do is literally just create a composition, and I'll make it 1080 by 1920, and yeah, and we'll make the length like 5 seconds. Just do 500 and it will be 5 seconds. Now you guys can see this is gonna be our voiceover. So I'm just gonna play it for you guys.
A very simple and clean looking video, but the data speaks for itself.
So you guys can see it has a really nice camera 3D animation, which is what I want to do. And yeah, first thing I'm gonna choose is just a frame from one of my videos. Doesn't have to be something that is very specific, but what I'm gonna do is just import a video that I have, and I'm just gonna do a little freeze frame. All right, I'm gonna do a little freeze frame. Let's say we want this frame or this frame. I mean, it doesn't look that good, whatever frame that we have right now, but the whole point is I just want like a single frame that I can use. Okay, this frame is very good. Cool. Now I just put it up like this, and the first thing that we want to do, all right, before we start with the camera animation and everything, is just add a little text that says, or I'll actually first thing just decrease the opacity or decrease the exposure. Let me add an effect called exposure by going in effects and presets and then writing up exposure and import it. You guys can see we have less space over here. Just need a bit more space. So yeah, now I will pretty much have this exposure low, and I will do a keyframe to take this exposure even lower like this. All right, so basically it's just keyframed. Now
very simple and
the exposure it's decreased. Now I'll mute the audio for now because we don't need the audio, and I'm gonna write a text that says the aesthetics. I'm just gonna do a random font, doesn't matter. I'm not trying to copy the exact font or whatever, you know. All I'm trying to do is basically just make a text as a reference point that we can basically just use. So I'm gonna have this aesthetic text, and it's gonna be in blue color for now, and then we're gonna do the final tweakings in the next video, as I said. For here, we're just gonna be adding a bit of effects and whatsoever. Now immediately we want to start with 3D camera. All right, so first thing we gotta do is make a mask on my layer as a frozen frame, just so it stays like in this mobile resolution, as it's already like phone resolution, and then make all of this 3D. Make this 3D and the aesthetics text 3D. All right, and then introduce a camera and make the camera 50mm 1-node camera. Go over here and create an orbit null camera, and then, as I covered in the last video, if you guys have Motion Tools 4, you can just connect a couple of nulls directly, or you can do it manually. By now you should know how to do the nulls manually by just going over here, doing null, and then parenting one by one. So yeah, I'm gonna start with the animation right from over here, from the camera itself, I think, but leave it, I'll just do it from this. So do position and shift R to bring up even the rotations. Okay, so P, add a keyframe, shift R, and I'll just keyframe all of this. All right, X, Y, and Z. Come up, let's say around 2 seconds, zoom it out. All right, once you zoom it out, you want to do a rotation like this, as you guys can see. Now once I do a rotation like this, it kind of fucks up, right? So we just have to adjust our position. Don't worry too much about it. So now you guys can see, if I just play this, look at how it goes down, the way it goes down. This is exactly how it is. This is exactly how it is. It's just the fact that it's so slow, so it looks weird, but don't worry about it. And now I will basically go on YouTube and just take like random frames, like how he did. So I'm in a random Iman Gadzi video, doesn't matter too much the frame that we take, honestly. And I will just do a screenshot and import this. You guys are gonna have the asset. You don't have to do the same thing. So here I imported image 1 Iman and image 2 Iman, both imported, okay? And pretty much I will just scale these down. All right, now we gotta design this simultaneously. And this first one, I will just make a little shape layer over here, remove the stroke, make the fill whatever, And you see with the shape layer, I'll try to cover this image. And just to be able to do that accurately, I'll put it on focus mode and I'll do PNG just so we can add the shape layer humanly, alright? So do this, I'll tell you guys why we're doing this. Do this and then parent the shape layer to Iman image, okay? And then track matte Iman image to the shape layer. So basically now wherever I move the shape layer is how it will show Iman, alright? This is how it works. So why am I doing this? Is because I can go here and add a bit of roundness. And then adjust the size because it's too much. So adjust the size to be this much, take it a bit higher. Cool, this is how we want it. This is how we want this first image. And then for the second one, pretty much we're gonna put this second one on focus mode as well. And by the way, these two I can just pre-compose it. So instead of having it like track method whatever, I'll just pre-compose it now. So now these will be like in one layer. And for this one, I want to do something similar, but it's gonna be like a shorter format, just like how they have it. So like this, and then the roundness is gonna be the same, which was 20. And again, come over here and do track matte, alright? Track matte it. And now wherever I move my image, it will happen. So I will now pre-compose these two as well. Pretty much now what I will do is I will mask it out in this way, just so we have more control over it. Alright, so what I will do is if I take the anchor point by doing Control Alt Home, the anchor point will go in the middle of the mask, which is why I'm doing this. Same thing goes for this. So boom, and then Control Alt Home. So now I can move this peacefully as well. Cool. I'll have this. Alright, this scene. This is how it looks as of now, boys. Let me just remove this thing, make it with background. And now I want to add a text that says our work, whatever, like just something that says our work. And I'll make the font Arial, okay, just Arial bold and make it all caps, or Arial black, all caps, and then make it white. As for the effects, again, we're gonna do that later. Like major effects are gonna be done later. Let me make this bold. That's gonna be the next video, the major effects. So our work is gonna be designed like this, and then I will duplicate this text and just write up simple and clean, and then put this below. Make the font Babis New bold. Alright, scale it up so that it is this much. And you can see the image in the back is kind of interrupting, or it's not anymore. Actually, I was just on the wrong frame. So yeah, simple and clean. And this is how our scene looks now. Okay, now basically, why is this not activated with the camera? Because they don't have 3D on them. And what I want to do is I want to enable 3D. But before I enable 3D, there is an important thing that we need to do. Alright, and that is connecting it all to a null. So if I just make a null, I'll tell you guys why we're doing this. And I connect all of this to the null. Now this null will be able to control all of it. I will just move this anchor point of the null to be in the middle, somewhere over here. This is the middle point. You get me? Now I make all of this 3D. So see what happens? It goes to its default position, like how it would if the camera was off. So it doesn't register that, okay, this is our new view. So to get it to our new current view, we gotta do a certain trick, which I explained in the last video. Control Home. Now we have it in our new view. But what's happening is because we have a rotation of 47 degrees, the position is fixed, but the rotation is not. So I will just minus this rotation out by doing minus 47, or sorry, doing 47. And now our image is exactly straight. As you guys can see, it is exactly straight. And I can just move this like on a couple of positions, like how I'm moving it now. This will say simple and clean looking video. So first thing we gotta do is just make a bit of a gap. Cool. Now it's cool. I think we just gotta decrease the gap a little bit between these texts so it's more combined. But yeah, simple and clean looking video. And look now what happens. You see guys, the way it pops up. This is what happens. This is how cameras work, boys. This is literally how cameras work. Now first, one more thing we gotta do, basically just for the sake of it, is add a bit of, Y rotation on this scene, like a bit of Y rotation to give it a bit of a rotation. And do the opposite with this one, a little bit plus, and that one is minus. You see this is minus and this is plus. Cool, looks good, looks decento. I can just decrease the size for both of these, pull this up over here, pull this up like this. Cool. So we have this scene. One thing is though, I just don't like how straight it is. All right. So what we're gonna do is just make it a little bit, just to give it that look. Yeah. Instead of it being 47, I'll make it 40. So there is still a little bit of a rotation. Very less. Very less. But then our work, for example, this text, I will do +6 so it goes straight. So now let's look at what we have. This is how our scene looks. Obviously it looks awful. It looks really bad. So we need to adjust the graph. Go F9 on this X rotation. Just press U on your keyboard. You'll get all the keyframes. Go F9. Remove these. Remove this. Alright. And then we want to do a middle graph. Basically a middle graph of 75 over here and 75 over here. So let's look at how it sees. It's not that good. Doesn't look that good. I know why. Because look, when we're coming from this middle point, basically this is interrupting. So imagine if we take this null a little bit higher, just like this. Alright, so we gotta do a couple of things first, boys. First thing, this text. Alright, we gotta do a reveal on it instead of like most of these elements don't pre-exist. So this text, first thing, we're gonna do a reveal on it. So go animator and then make it opacity. Just make the opacity 0. Pull up over to advanced and make it words. And then just adjust the start from 0 to 100. So over here it will be 0, for example. And then once we come over here, it's gonna be 100. Just this way. And then F9. Our normal F9 doesn't even need a graph. I will just extend this out a little bit. So this is how it looks now. One thing I gotta do is, look, this is coming up our face, right? So what I can do is literally do something. I have an idea. If you guys see this thing, I can just pull it backward by doing this. Pull it backward so it's a bit behind, or pull it more backward, and then adjust the position and scale it up so that it looks like it's there. So the position basically alters. This is how it comes up. Okay, and now what I will do is a position. All right, you see guys, the same way that I did the simple looking keyframe, I'll do the same thing for this one. A position that goes from above. So what will be above? Like this, basically. It will come up from above like this. And now pull this backwards. And the graph will be a middle graph, just something that is 60-60. And I will sync it exactly with the camera movement if needed, like this. Yeah, now it's not coming up our face, you guys see? It's a lot better. It's a lot better. Cool. This is a lot better. And then for the simple aesthetic text, I will delay it a little bit. Make it start over here. Nice. Now we gotta make everything 3D. This is something they do, is everything is 3D. Like 3D in the smooth camera style makes everything better. You guys get me? Okay. So now this movement happens. All right. I think I can delay this a little bit more, just so it's a bit slower instead of being so fucking fast. So if I delay this a bit more, then I will have to delay this movement also a bit more. Yeah, that looks significantly better. So once we reach over here, there is a reason why we added multiple null layers. See, we want to start the previous movement before the first one even finishes. So you guys see we have like a null layer over here, right? We want to start the next movement, I mean. So that next movement is going to be on the null above it. By the way, let me take all these cameras up just so we don't get lost in the process. Now yeah, this null, go to position, rotation, whatever is needed. And basically we want to do a certain camera movement, which will be, you know what? Which will be us going up like this and then adding a bit of rotation. So now for the rotation, basically it has to be like this. Oops. Okay, so we come up over here, boys, and I want to make a rotation. For the rotation, I think what we gotta do is make a new null. Alright, what we gotta do is make a new null. So I will actually delete this null, go over here, create a new null, and then make it 3D, and then do Control Alt Home and reset its positions. Like, what is our position over here? It was, the X position was 47, right? So just reset this. Okay, so now the null layer is straight. Now we'll connect this to our new null. So now this new null will be controlled normally instead of it being controlled like retardedly. So I want to make a Z rotation and a position, pull up like until this point. And you see now, guys, I can rotate this humanly, which is the nice part about it all. So if I go like this, okay, and I do this, so a Z rotation this much and a position this much. So look at the movement, it's like this. And what I will do is add a bit of a keyframe in the middle to make a bit of a, not keyframe in the middle, sorry. Or actually, yeah, keyframe in the middle. And basically I will add a bit of a rotation curve so that it mixes with, but before that we gotta come over here and do RAW across over, which will basically just add a, so look at how it looks. It is a bit weird, and that is because it is not graphed, so don't you worry boys. But yeah, pretty much this is how our rotation looks. Okay, this is how it looks. So now we have this happening, and then it goes to become like this. Now don't worry about how weird this looks. After our graphs, trust me, it's gonna look way better. So remove these these two, we don't need it. And F9, literally just do the middle graph. So by now you guys should know what the middle graph is. I will just do it from here to save time. 75, and I can overlap it. You guys are seeing this will happen, and then it starts overlapping. For the position, I don't know if the curve is a good idea. Maybe no curve is better idea. Maybe like we just don't need a curve. Maybe we just don't need a curve, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think we need a curve. Yeah, we don't need a curve. So it comes up like this, and then it goes like this. Cool. And then over here we want to add 2 more videos or whatever. So for these videos I'm just gonna choose random frames from Instagram, doesn't matter. So over here I'm just going over one of my clients' pages. I'm just gonna choose like a random image. So for example, this image is cool, all right, with the views, and then save it. Image 1 Instagram. You guys will have it, don't worry, you don't need to do this process. And we come up over here and import. So you guys will have both of these images. If I make both of them 3D, look at what happens. It just goes to another universe. So connect both of these to a null, just like how I said, and then now bring the null by doing Control Alt Home and Control Home. And now we just wanna undo the rotations by literally just undoing it. So I know that this one is -43, so I gotta do -43 basically. All right, and I know this one is 47, so now it's undone, like completely undone. And boom, we have both of these over here. Very nice, very cool. Now I can delete the null. This one I will make it have a bit of a rotation in this way, like this, and this one it's gonna have a rotation like this. But one thing I did is I made it really big, and these two should have been smaller. Just smaller them down, make them smaller with the null. So look, we have this scene, and then this comes up. Amazing, very nice, honestly really nice. So look at what we have now, guys. We have this scene going down like this, and then we come up like this. All right, first things first, this second null, I think we can extend it out a little bit so it's just a bit smoother. Okay, extend it out a little bit, and then basically just drag this backwards. So you can see how much the overlap will be. This comes up, and then the rotation starts immediately. And once the rotation starts, and now we want to do something else, is I will make another null on top of this, okay, with Motion Tools 4, or with a normal null layer, and I want to make a zoom. So this comes up, and then I will do a position of, let's say, this much. So it zooms in, but it's not zooming in humanly. So we just have to make a normal null again. We have to make a normal null by duplicating and shit. I think another way we can do it is literally just with fucking transform. But anyways, I want to show this to you guys with camera. All right, so to do it with camera, basically now at this point we can kind of use the camera keyframes. All right, so look, first thing, this goes down, and then this comes up, and what we want to do is the zoom. All right, we want to do a zoom on this layer, because if you guys see, look at this, have a little look at this. Look at how it goes like this, and then it zooms. All right, this is what we want to do. There is a couple of ways we can do this, but I like to do things in the most efficient, customizable ways. All right, even over here he didn't do it so well, like he fucked it up. He didn't even overlap it properly. But anyways, I like to do shit in much better ways. I'm not trying to like copy the mistakes of these guys. I'm trying to take their mistakes and make it better and remake. So now we go to the camera over here. All right, boys, and we do a position keyframe, pull up like this. Now go on this tool, just delete words, and just do this. Do it less though, not too much, less, and I'll tell you guys why we're doing it less. And then do the middle graph, just make the middle graph somewhere like this. So this comes up, and then boom. But this middle graph should be way sharper. Okay, if you see, he has it way sharper. So literally 100 and 100 maybe. So yeah, come up like this. The zoom in is gonna start immediately because this comes up and then this and then like this. Yeah. And then what I'm gonna do over here is just make a cut and then select all of this. All right, I'll tell you guys why I made a cut. I made a cut, select all of this and then dolly towards more. So there's gonna be a cut as well with it. So look, it's not only graph, it's also cutting. So this zoom happens and then there is also a cut, which is kinda what happens. And we can just do this with a normal transform, but why not just go for something that is more creative? By the way, I can pull this a bit more backward of what we have and bring it on over here and adjust like the rotation a little bit more because I kind of didn't. So look, this is what we have as of now. All this camera movement, nice. And then obviously he added a shake, which is why it made the whole thing look much better or significantly better. And I can drag this a bit more frontwards. Cool. So look, very nice guys, very nice. You guys saw how easy the camera was. Very, like, it's not that complex and things don't have to be that complex. Now if we compare this side by side, all right, if we compare this side by side and I play this for you guys, look, we have something. Okay, ignore the timing. I mean, I did not copy the exact timing, I was just copying the animation. So look, we have this exact same animation. In fact, mine is even better, and then I have a really very good cut. Now he has extra elements, which is the shake and the flicker and all of that, and he had a deep glow on the text and everything. All of this I will cover on the last day, day 7. So this is day 5 and day 6, as I told you, of the bootcamp. And day 7 is making your animation stand out, or how to make your animation look better with effects. You get me? So now we have like a nice animation with camera and all of that, but things are missing. Things are missing. Why? Because we don't have effects. And yeah, I hope you guys stay tuned for tomorrow's video. It's gonna be very, very exciting. Turn on the notification bells and try to add your own effects and tweakings and everything on top of this. All the assets and everything is gonna be in the description below. I hope you guys are able to follow me. But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out, or in the next video. Bye bye.